How's it going, everybody? Doing a video game ramble here today. I'm pretty sure I did one last month too. I'm kind of trying to do these monthly. This one will be soft-spoken instead of whispered. This one's going to kind of focus on the N64 years into the PS2, Xbox, GameCube, Dreamcast years as well. I was actually thinking about that today. The lighting's a little weird in here right now because of the sun's coming through the cracks in the blinds. But I wanted to get this up because I'm working with my friend tomorrow, so I want to have a video in the tank for tomorrow. Anyway, I was actually thinking about that today. Just remembering like the N64 years specifically and stuff. And I never had the PlayStation, I've said this before. Growing up, came out in 95 when I was in 11th grade, and then I got the N64 senior year, November 96. It was supposed to be a Christmas present, but my mom gave it to me early. I think I've said that story before, how when we first got it, you had the AV cables or whatever. I never had those at the time. I know you were able to get them for the Super Nintendo, and Genesis might have been compatible with them too, but I never used them. So we heard the sound, but not... For Mario 64, we heard the sound, but not the visuals. It wasn't on video. Then we called the thing, the little hotline thing. And they're like, oh, you gotta, if you have a newer TV, you gotta switch it over, switch the source or whatever. And then we all said, we said, oh, thanks. And I kind of felt stupid. The guy's like, nah, it's a common question because a lot of the people don't have they're not used to it yet. And all of a sudden we saw the graphics from Mario 64, and we just both were like, holy shit. Like, my jaw dropped. I remember inviting friends over. We'd like get freaking baked out of our minds. Like, yo, you guys gotta check it out, Mario 64 and Wave Race and stuff like that. And sometimes I regret not owning the N64, but like, if I wanted the PlayStation 2, I could have gotten it for like a Christmas or something. But for whatever reason, I was just like strictly Nintendo at that point. I didn't care I didn't have any interest in Saturn either. But those were like interesting years because early '97 is when I always had my anxiety and stuff. But when I started like bad panic attacks, and like my whole like mind almost changed. I feel like something happened in my brain. At that point, I started feeling like just terribly mentally for a while. After that, like, realistically, it lasted for years, but it wasn't like obviously all the time. But my whole like mindset and everything, like my whole, I don't know, it was something like I said, something altered in my brain at that point. But N64, definitely some of those games helped me through that, keep my mind off of it and stuff like that. As did some shows like Xena and Hercules in particular. I remember watching back then. I think they were on Saturday nights. I would tape them. I'd come home from what I was doing and watch them. I think they were on like 8 and 9 o'clock. I think it was Hercules and Xena. But yeah, the N64 for sure. I remember like when I first started actually getting the weird, strange feeling. Like I said, I always had the anxiety and stuff, but this was different. This first started then. I remember I was playing Turok. I didn't realize you needed a memory pack for Turok because Mario 64 saved on the card. I believe Shadows of the Empire saved on the card as well. And whatchamacallit did, and Wave Race I think did too. Although I'm not sure if Wave Race was actually out that early. Because I want to say it might have come out late 96. I want to say the N64 only launched with Super Mario 64 and Pilot Wings. But by the time I had actually gotten it, I remember my mom actually got me Mortal Kombat. It was like Mortal Kombat Gold or something, but I didn't want that. And Shadows of the Empire instead. So I think some games did come out. So maybe Wave Race was out before the end of 96. I can't remember. But Turok, I think, actually came out in February 97 for whatever reason. It looked cool. I remember playing it and like playing as far as I could and be like, oh shit, I can't save. And eventually I got the memory pack. And that was a cool game. I remember playing that game during, the beginning of those kind of mental tough times. And it was fun, it was good memories. Then I had, what else did I have? Bond came in August 97, I believe I had that. That was phenomenal, obviously. I've talked about that in the past. Still play it. I'm actually playing it this Saturday. My friends are coming here. We'll play some multiplayer and maybe some other old games as well. I'm trying to think of what came after. No, because I think 1080 was 98. I had that too. 98 was a big year. I think that's when F-Zero was out. I remember playing F-Zero before I was going to Nassau Community College. I'd play in the morning before leaving my house. I loved that game. Like, I was addicted to F-Zero and Star Fox 64. I would play repeatedly trying to beat my high score. Because you got points and stuff each level, so I would just kind of try to beat that level. F-Zero was just fun as hell. I'm pretty sure the 64 F-Zero introduced like everybody. Like, the one on Super Nintendo just had the 4 guys. It's like Falcon, Captain Falcon, I forget the other 3 people's names, but they had like their specific, they all had little stories too. Therefore, if you had the guy, one guy, it was like maybe something Fox. He drove like the gold one. The other guy had a pink one, I think a green car, or whatever they call it, hovercraft type things. And I'm pretty sure N64 one introduced like everybody had a story. Like there was everybody was, you could use like 30 people, I think, or something. That was pretty cool for sure. I remember playing the hell out of that in Star Fox, and Star Fox came with a Rumble pack, which was cool. Like I said, I would have loved to, if I look back, I would have asked for maybe a PlayStation for my birthday or Christmas, just because I missed out on so many games back then. And realistically, I haven't played many PlayStation games, period. Back then at all, and I think I ended up playing some later on. Not many though, honestly, because it was so long past. Like, I remember playing some of it at my friend's house. I think they had was that Aerosmith game on the PlayStation, Revolution X or something. N64, and then Ocarina of Time came out, and that's some of my favorite gaming memories, playing that game. I fucking loved that game. That was another game that helped me through that tough period as well. Like I said, it was, like I said, from that February '97 even into like 2000, like it was, I had to like get used to, the way I was feeling mentally. It was interesting. But that was another one. Funny thing is, this is back when people are getting pissed because the games are going to be up to $70 on PS5 and Xbox Series X, but anybody knows back then that even in N64 era, some of the games were expensive. Like, me and my friend split Road Rash 64. It was $70. We would he lived right down the block, so we would just, I was like, you keep it for this week, I'll keep it the next week. We had a save file on there and stuff. But even like Super Nintendo era, I think like Mortal Kombat might have been like $80. Like, even on the NES and the Genesis too, the games would alter in price. You'll even see some people have old videos of like going through Toys R Us back then and filming for a little bit, and you'll see the prices of games with the slips. It'd be like anywhere from like $40 to like $70, or even $80 depending. But yeah, then I had Castlevania 64 is another one. A lot of people hate that game. I actually really enjoyed Castlevania 64. I'm trying to get out of the way of this thing. Like I said, 1080 came out. That was awesome. I had Madden 64 too, which was fun, and I had Madden 2001 as well, or 2001. I think it was 2001. Yeah, because they came out a year prior, right? So it was 2001. It came out in 2000. Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine. Me and my friend played that. That game was fucking phenomenal. We still have that too. I want to. I actually just ordered the tool. It's supposed to come today. I don't think it is. To unscrew the N64. I gotta fix the reset button, because if that thing fully works, I kind of want to borrow that game back from him. It's actually mine technically, but just take it and play it again, because that game's awesome. There's other memories too, like Wet Tricks. It was an awesome puzzle game. Majora's Mask. I never beat Majora's Mask. It was kind of interesting, but I lost interest in playing it. Scooby-Doo Classic Creep Capers was amazing. Played that. It was short, but it was fun. Such a good recreation of the show. I actually want to get that if that N64 works. That's a game I want to get again because it's cheap. Oh, what else? The Mission Impossible game I remember renting a few times. That was fun. Mario Kart 64, I forgot about that. We used to play a ton of that multiplayer, the little balloons above your head. That was a great game. That's probably my favorite, Mario Kart. I'm not super into Mario Kart, but I love that one and the Super Nintendo one. And then there was WCW NW World Tour. We played a lot of little 4-player, like Royal Rumble thing, Battle Royale, whatever it was. My friend, I had that one. My friend ended up getting later on WCW NWO Revenge, which was the better of the two. But and we used to play Knockout Kings a lot too. Towards the end of the N64's life cycle, and Tony Hawk 2, my friend has. So we played a decent amount of that. And Resident Evil 2 is another one, which was like mind blowing at the time for that system. I was like, holy shit, it looks amazing. I think we were able to get it on the cartridge like that. It was pretty nuts. And then the N64 kind of faded. I played some other games too. I can't remember. I missed out on a good amount too. Like I didn't play the Banjo-Kazooies back then, or Conquer, or Blast Corps is another one. Blast Corps is another one I used to rent a lot, where you had to drive your trucks and stuff. It was like you gotta clear a path with like a bulldozer and stuff, because there's nuclear missiles coming behind you and they can't stop it. Like it's on a truck or whatever. You have to. It was actually a cool game. That was made by Rare. Rare had like such an amazing run for the N64. They made so many hits. I mean, they made both Banjos, Donkey Kong 64, GoldenEye, Perfect Dark, Conquer, Jet Force Gemini, Diddy Kong Racing. I think they did. Blast Course. Like they just had a hell of a run. And then I remember getting the GameCube like a day after it came out. I remember I went with my friend. He got it when it came out. And I'm like, man, I need this. And the next day I went up there and got it. $200. Hell of a price for a fucking new system. And just had a ton of fun with it. I got mad in 2002 with that. And then I was like, I need something else. I was losing interest in the football games. So next day I went back to Toys R Us and got Rogue Squadron 2 Rogue Leader, which was amazing. That was one hell of a game. And then they made the Rogue Squadron 3, which you actually had some missions on foot. But I think the first two, the one and the N64 one, were strictly all air missions. That game looked fucking amazing too when it came out. Holy shit. That was another jaw dropper. And my friend got Tony Hawk 3. We played a ton of that. That game was sick. That was an interesting thing for me. Like I was like flip-flopping, like trading in or selling them to friends or whatever systems and getting new ones like constantly. Because I had the GameCube, and then I was like, just like I said, it was Nintendo, and then I was like, they started delaying games. I think Star Fox Adventures got delayed. Eternal Darkness got delayed like 6 months. And they did, even then, they weren't going to get a lot of the serious third-party stuff. It's like you weren't seeing any Silent Hills on there. You weren't seeing, GTAs weren't coming out for that. They came out later on the Xbox, but surprisingly, they got like Blood Omen 2, which was shocking, but they didn't get Legacy King Defiance. And they did get the Prince of Persia games and the Bond games, because I had an Agent Under Fire on there. I put up gameplay of that actually today as well. I'm filming this on Monday. That was one of my early Cube games, because I got those two games, and I got Super Smash Bros. Melee. Came out in, I think, December of 01. Then I got I think it was Bloody Roar 3 maybe, fighting game. And the girl I was with at the time got me like a game, Dark Summit. It was like a snowboarding action game. And she might have actually got me Agent Under Fire too. Then Resident Evil Remake came out. That was another one where I was just like, fuck, and that game still holds up graphically today. But that was awesome. That was May of 2002, I believe. And then I believe Eternal Darkness finally came out. Did it come out after Resident Evil? I could be wrong here. It might have come out earlier. It might have come out maybe in February or something. I mean, I played Eternal Darkness and it was awesome. But I don't know if it came out in July of '02 or earlier '02. I can't, either way. That game was awesome. It, like, did weird stuff with you. It was a survival horror game, but it was like you played through, like, I guess, like, you were like this girl in the beginning and you used her ability from time to time, but you would play like as your ancestors in earlier times. So it's like an Egyptian time, I think, and kind of like a medieval time. I can't remember everything, but it would do weird stuff where all of a sudden the volume on the TV go down. I'd be like, what did I just hit? What the hell? All of a sudden the GameCube, it would seem like the game stopped and it turned off and it would come back on. And it'd be like, oh, the memory cards crawl, like weird stuff. And you'd be like, what the hell? What's going on? It was actually really cool. That was a really cool game. Wave Race was pretty cool. Simpsons Road Rage was an early one I had too, which I really enjoyed. It was pretty much Crazy Taxi clone with Simpsons. That was a good one too. I forgot about that one. And then I had sold it to somebody. I had gotten the Xbox in March 2002. Actually, before that, I think I've said this, I got a Dreamcast in January of '02 because I'm like, I need something else to play. There's nothing for the Cube. The Cube had a pretty strong launch, but then there was like things were getting delayed. So I got a Dreamcast at GameStop. At this point, the Dreamcast would have not even been out 3 years. It realistically would have only not even been 2.5. Or just about 2.5. No, it was still a little less than 2.5 years. The thing was already done. The PlayStation 2 had already pretty much destroyed Sega from a console making standpoint. Which is a shame, because the Dreamcast and the Cube, in my opinion, are the last two gaming consoles that felt like gaming. Like, all the new ones are gaming consoles, but those two systems just felt like video game consoles. You know, they didn't play any DVDs or anything. It was just straight games. They just had that feel. And I got a Dreamcast for $20 used in January of '02 from GameStop. And games were cheap too then. I think I've talked about this too. I think I got Resident Evil Code Veronica X. I think that was like $20 new. That was awesome. I'm pretty sure I didn't beat it though. I think I got up to the point where the guy Steve you're with mutates and turns and you had to fight him, and I either would have had to have gone back to like a save 4 hours prior because I didn't have enough ammo and stuff. That game was cool. I had Soul Calibur, which was a really good fighting game. I bought this game, Vanishing Point. It was a racing game from Best Buy for $10 new. That was a pretty cool game. I'm not super into racing games, so that was pretty cool. I had Soul Reaver, which was cool. That was a part of the Legacy of Kane series as well, where you use Raziel. And you're chasing down Kane. What else? I had a few other games too. I can't remember what. Shenmue, I think I had Shenmue. I think I had it then. I had a few Dreamcasts, so between '99 and like 2002, I picked up Dreamcasts here and there because it was so cheap. Resident Evil 3 and... No, 2 I didn't beat on. 2 I beat on the 64. 3 I beat on the Dreamcast. I had a few other games too. I can't remember. Sonic Adventure, I believe. I remember playing as well. And there was a really cool game. My friend's brother had it. I would play it sometimes there and borrow it. Sort of the Berserk, which was really cool. That was a really cool game. But then I got I ended up selling that to a friend. Actually did pretty well on that because I think I sold it for like $100 and I sold in the system and they had 4 or 5 games. I actually think I made profit on that because everything was so cheap when I bought it. And then I bought I got it was an early birthday present, I believe. I got the original Xbox in March of '02, and that floored me too. The first game I got was Max Payne. I think I talked about how I didn't realize I had a hard drive built in, so we bought a memory card, which was not really a waste because you can put saves on there and bring them to a friend's house or whatever, but I was like, oh wait, it has a hard drive, I don't need a memory card, so that was kind of cool. Xbox was, a lot of people call it a spiritual successor to the Dreamcast because it got a lot of the Sega exclusives after that, like Shenmue 2, they put out a version of Jet Set Radio Future, whatever, I think it was Jet Set Radio Future, right? It was Jet Grind Radio was the first one. Gun Valkyrie was another game Sega made that would have came out. It was an Xbox exclusive that absolutely would have come out on Dreamcast. That was actually a pretty interesting game too. I had that. Even stuff like I only played a little bit of the second one, but the first one was really cool. Otogi, Myth of Demons. That was awesome. Like you're just like a kind of like a god type figure, and you're just knocking over like buildings and stuff. That was a really cool game. I think that was made by Sega as well, or published by him at least. But it had a lot of those weird kind of stranger games, feeling games. They got a couple others too. I think they got a couple of straight like games that might have been on the Dreamcast as well, or sequels to Dreamcast games. I can't remember what though. But it's a cool fucking system. The Xbox is still realistically probably my favorite of the three of that generation, although I love all three and they all had their strong points. But that was the one I had the longest before selling. I think I had a little over 3 years before selling and getting another GameCube for like $100 in 05. I had a few GameCubes during that span too, and then PlayStation 2 I had like 3 or 4 of. I got my first one in 02 because I'm like, I gotta play Vice City. And then I got another, I had that for a little bit, sold it to a friend. Actually, I think he gave me an ounce of weed for it, I can't remember. Man. And I sold that, but I had then I got another PS2 to play Silent Hill 3, which was worth it as well. And in between, I played stuff like The Warriors, which was awesome on the PS2. I had, and all the while, the Xbox was like the main console, and the other ones would kind of just swap in and out for that like 3-year span. From March 02 to April 05, I think it was. There's a lot of other ones as well. I played a ton of games for those things. I remember renting Fatal Frame for the, for some reason I rented Fatal Frame in this surfing game, which I don't know why I'd rent the surfing game. I think it was Kelly Slater's Pro Surfer, or something on the PS2, but Fatal Frame floored me too. That game still creeps me out, those games. The first one. And then I ended up playing it again on the Xbox, because they put out like a director's cut. They also got Fatal Frame 2, but not 3. Dead to Rights came out on the Xbox. Originally it was supposed to be an exclusive for Xbox, but it came to the other two systems as well. But apparently it was harder on the Xbox. Like the Xbox didn't have difficulty settings. It was just set at its one difficulty, and it was tough. That game is fucking amazing. I've talked about that a bunch of times. The Knights of the Old Republic games were mind-blowing as well. Deus Ex Invisible War is another game I remember loving. Brute Force was a good exclusive for the Xbox that a lot of people didn't kind of like. It was like a 4-player multiplayer game. If you wanted it to be, you could play with 4 people. But really advanced AI for the time. Obviously you had Halo and Halo 2. I borrowed the first Halo from my friend. I did not have that. The first few games I got were like Max Payne 2. Max Payne was the first game I got. Then I picked up like, it was kind of weird games at first. It was a game Enclave I really liked that I got the summer of 02. I had Pirates: The Legend of Black Cat. Blood Omen 2 was another one which I really enjoyed that I had. Pirates: The Legend of Black Cat. I had a lot of strange games for that system that I probably shouldn't have bought. Like Quantum Redshift was kind of an F-Zero game I just randomly bought that I wasn't super into. Jedi Starfighter I played Nightfire on there, and Everything or Nothing. Prince of Persia's, the first Prince of Persia I played on there. Legacy of Kain Defiance I played on there. There's like, each system I was playing different stuff, like, Devil May Cry. I mean, obviously the PS2 was the system with the exclusives, the best exclusives, and the biggest library by far, but that was a hell of a generation. Those 3 systems were awesome. Well, including the Dreamcast is awesome too. The Dreamcast started that generation. It was actually, Dreamcast is probably really way ahead of its time if you think about it. Sega and Nintendo always doing weird shit. It's a shame they didn't. I would almost love to see Sega and Nintendo merge and make a system, like an old school system, where they just release like 16-bit games. But yeah, those were those years, and they were great times. Morrowind was another one I loved on the original Xbox. I played a lot of games on the Xbox. I'm Manhunt I played on there. I rented that on PS2, and I brought the PS2. I'm like, I told my friends I rented from Blockbuster. I'm like, this game sounds cool. I'm like, holy shit, this game is fucked up. It's awesome. It's a stealth game where you pretty much have to slaughter people. Like, you're in a dude's snuff film, and you gotta like kill these gangs that are after you. Manhunt's sick. It's extremely violent. And there's actually an option for you to play with the mic, I think on the Xbox or the PS2, and like the gangs could hear you. Because I remember that I laughed once I was hiding in the shadows, because you had to do like hide in the shadows, a stealth game. And each weapon you'd have would have 3 levels of executions on it. And the guy said, oh, I think I stood in shit. I just started laughing. I hit the thumbstick by accident. Also, I'm getting chased by like 4 guys. That game was brutal. Like, there was parts where they like had your family tied up in an abandoned zoo, and if they spotted you, they just blow them away. Like, you couldn't let you couldn't let more than 2 of them get killed. The second one I played some of it wasn't nearly as good. The first one's ridiculous. And it had Brian Cox, the voice of Starkweather, the director who's directing it. It was awesome. He just played it up. It was great. And you're James Earl Cash. I always liked that Manhunt. Was in the Manhunt City, Carcer City is in the same universe. They actually mentioned Carcer City in GTA 3 and maybe Vice City, but I love how that those are in all those cities are in the same universe. Arx Fatalis was another interesting game I played on the Xbox where, like, some kind of catastrophic event happened. Everybody like lives underground. It's like that was an interesting one. Gauntlet Dark Legacy was another game I remember playing on the GameCube, which was really fun. That was one I rented. What else did I play on the Xbox? Indiana Jones and the Empress Tomb. I played that on the Xbox. That was a great game. Buffy the Vampire Slayer was a really good game on the Xbox. The first one I never played. There's a second one that came out on all the systems. Chaos Bleeds, I think it was called. The first one was really good, like great combat and stuff. The same people made that Indiana Jones game on the Xbox and PS2. It was really, and it had the same kind of fighting mechanics. That was an awesome game. I played that later on though. I think I already had like the 360 and PS3 by the time I played that game. Grabbed by the Ghoulies was a great game. That was Rare's first game for the Xbox that people shit on, but I really liked that game. It probably would have fit better on a Nintendo system, but I played that later on too. That was really fun. And there's Crimson Skies, which was an awesome flying game. You know, I remember playing the Burnout games and stuff. Mercenaries. Oh, it's a great generation. But yeah, I can go on for another 20 minutes about this, but I'll stop now. I just want to kind of discuss that time period there and stuff. And a lot of the stuff I played, you know, Final Fantasy X, I played a ton of 10-2, obviously, I've talked about it a million times. Those were on the PS2, obviously. Smuggler's Run. SSX, which one did I play? Tricky, I think, or 3, one of them. I played tons of games on those systems. Star Wars Bounty Hunter was really cool. That was on the GameCube. I played that one. I think it was on the PS2 as well. Devil May Cry. Jack and Daxter 2. I was in one I played that I really liked. Jack 2, I think it was just called. Just tons of games. And I've played some over the years as well. You know, I got them later on and stuff. But yeah, that's just me talking some video games here, and thanks for checking this out, and have a good day.